What I had planned to do next was to take an ordinary rowboat across, and then drive on into Europe through Yugoslavia. Possibly, I mean Yugoslavia. In any case, on that side of the channel, there are monuments to the soldiers who died there in the First World War. On the side where Troy is, one can find a monument where Achilles was buried, so much longer ago. Well, they say it is where Achilles was buried. Still, I find it extraordinary that young men died there in a war that long ago, and then died in the same place 3,000 years after that. But be that as it may, I changed my mind about crossing the Hellespont, by which I mean the Dardanelles. What I did was pick out a motor launch and go by way of the Greek islands and Athens instead. Even with only a page torn out of an atlas, instead of maritime charts, it took me only 2 unhurried days to get to Greece. A good deal about that ancient war was doubtless greatly exaggerated. Still, certain things can touch a chord. Such as, for instance, a day or 2 after that, seeing the Parthenon by the late afternoon sun. It was that winter during which I lived in the Louvre, I believe, burning artifacts and picture frames for warmth in a poorly ventilated room. But then, with the first signs of thaw, switching vehicles whenever I ran low on gas, started back across central Russia to make my way home again. All of this being indisputably true, if, as I say, long ago, and if, as I also say, I may well have been mad. Then again, I am not at all certain I was mad when I drove to Mexico, before that. Possibly before that. To visit at the grave of a child I had lost, even longer ago than all of this, named Adam. Why have I written that his name was Adam? Simon is what my little boy was named. Time out of mind, meaning that one can even momentarily forget the name of one's only child, who would be 30 by now? I doubt 30. Say 26 or 27. Am I 50 then? There is only one mirror here in this house on the beach. Perhaps the mirror says 50. My hands say that. It has come to show on the backs of my hands. Conversely, I am still menstruating. Irregularly, so that often it will go on for weeks, but then will not occur again until I have almost forgotten about it. Perhaps I am no more than 47 or 48. I am certain that I once attempted to keep a makeshift accounting, possibly of the months, but surely at least of the seasons. But I do not even remember any longer when it was that I understood I had already long since lost track. Still, I believe I was soon going to be 40, back when all of this began. How I left those messages was with white paint, in huge block letters, at intersections where anybody coming or going would see. I burned artifacts and certain other objects when I was at the Metropolitan Museum, too, naturally. Well, I had a fire there perpetually, winters. That fire was different from the fire I had at the Louvre. Where I built the fire in the Metropolitan was in that great hall, just where one goes in and out. As a matter of fact, I manufactured a high tin chimney above it, too, so that the smoke could drift to the skylights high above that. What I had to do was shoot holes in the skylight, once I had constructed the chimney. I did that with a pistol, quite carefully, at an angle from one of the balconies, so that the smoke would go out, but the rain would not come in. Rain came in. Not much rain, but some. Well, eventually it came in through other windows as well, when those broke of themselves, or of the weather. Windows break still. Several are broken here, in this house. It is summer at present, however, nor do I mind the rain. Upstairs, one can see the ocean. Down here, there are dunes, which obstruct one's view. Actually, this is my second house on this same beach. The first I burned to the ground. I am still not certain how that happened,